Welcome back to this two-part webinar series on how small and medium-sized enterprises can navigate the challenges of running profitably in the Nigerian business landscape. If you joined us in Part 1, we tackled a pressing challenge, rising costs and unpredictable inflation in Nigeria. We broke down how this affects small businesses like yours and, more importantly, how to navigate it. We explored how inflation isn't just about rising prices, it impacts purchasing power, supply chains, and profitability for small and medium-sized enterprises. That's why we looked at cost structuring and inventory management with a focus on the use of the just-in-time inventory management model as not just as a survival tactic for small businesses, but as a competitive edge for them to thrive. We saw how one of Pearl Anchor Services' clients, in the case study we discussed, utilized the just-in-time inventory management model to optimize cost and manage inventory effectively, leading to a 20% cut in inventory management cost and a 7% rise in profit over a select period of time. However, inventory management alone is not enough. That's where today's focus comes in structuring cost the right way through value chain analysis and leveraging strategic partnerships to scale sustainably. For those joining for the first time, my name is Ekemini Inyang. I am the lead business consultant for growth and sustainability at Pearl Anchor Services. Pearl Anchor Services is a business management consultancy that helps small and medium-sized businesses build sustainable, profitable operations, especially in Nigeria's challenging business environment. At Pearl Anchor Services, we provide hands-on solutions in financial management, business growth and structuring strategies, staffing solutions and process improvement, helping businesses move from survival mode to growth and profitability. Now that we've set the foundation, let's move forward. In Part 2, we'll break down how to structure costs for long-term profitability and why the right partnerships can transform your business trajectory. The objective today is to ensure that at the end of the session you will walk away with practical insights on how to optimize your value chain, reduce operational inefficiencies, create a supplier network that works for your business, not against it. Let's get started. In any business, every process from procurement to production to distribution presents an opportunity for cost savings. By closely analyzing your value chain, you can identify areas where costs can be reduced without compromising the quality of your product or service. Value chain VC represents the internal activities a firm engages in when transforming inputs into outputs. From procurement of raw materials to the delivery of finished products, or from the receipt of an order to the fulfillment of the order. The value chain model is formed of primary activities and support activities. Primary activities add value to the final product or service directly. Support activities add value to the final product or service indirectly. Primary activities are inbound logistics operations, outbound logistics or service delivery, marketing and sales, customer support. Support activities are firm infrastructure, human resource management, procurement, technology development. Here's a practical example of how a bakery's value chain is structured, highlighting its primary activities. And this slide highlights its support activities. Now let's dive into understanding what value chain analysis, VCA, and how it helps in managing cost and ensuring profitability. VCA is a process where a firm identifies its primary and support activities that add value to its final product or service and then analyzes these activities to reduce costs or increase differentiation. In this context, differentiation refers to the process of making a firm's product or service unique and more attractive to customers compared to competitors.
Okay, so this second case in point, is going to show you how we use the value chain analysis strategy to help one of our clients in the agro-processing business. So 2 to 3 months ago, one of our clients who is in Ibadan the way we work with our clients is we're very involved in everything, especially when we're on a retainer. So we look through your books. We want to make sure that everything is going well. So we're assessing their books and we see that cost of production on some things are getting higher. So we decided to do a value chain analysis, from the start point, when we broke down the processes, the primary activities to the support activities. What we found was the largest contribution to their cost of production was power. And so we then said, okay, can we move from the source of power you're using to solar? And so we're able to initiate that process for our customer. And let me just get the figures right. We're able to cut down energy costs by 30%. 30% cuts in cost. Imagine what that can do for your business, So that was just in the first month. By the second month, we were able to go down to 43% reduction in energy costs, after we analyzed their value chain and were able to switch to a different source of energy. Another thing that we found was that our clients use different suppliers for packaging and for labeling. What our client was doing was a different company produces the packaging, then a different company labels it. So what we noticed was that this did not only take up time that could have been used to do other things that would add value to the company, and add value to the customer experience and product, it also increased their packaging costs. So what we did was we collapsed that system and then merged the packaging and labeling supplier together. So now we have one supplier doing both packaging and labeling. And so what this did for our customer was that packaging cost went down by 28.3%. 28.3%. This did not compromise the quality of the product they were churning out. What this even did was that it significantly lowered their overall production costs. Reduction in production costs equals better profits. So when you do a value chain analysis, you are able to see these activities that do not really add value to your products or your customer experience. You can either eliminate them, optimize them. We eliminated the previous energy source that was imputing a lot of cost into the production process, and we changed it to an energy source that was saving more money. And then we optimized the packaging cost, and we reduced it by 28.3%. That's what would happen when you do a value chain analysis across your activities and processes. So to answer the question about how SMEs can identify parts of their value chain to cut, the first thing is you have to know what your processes are. You have to know what your start process is and what your finish process is. So for people in production, your start process would be acquisition of raw materials. Your end process would be, sale of finished goods. If you're in hospitality, the moment you order supplies for your hotel to the point where you do like a post-stay survey or you give a loyalty program to a customer who is leaving, that is your value chain. So everything from the point where you place your supplies for the hotel to the point where the customer comes and goes, every activity you do in between, you have to highlight them one after the other. You have to be true to yourself. What you do, you have to totally, completely, highlight them. Then after you've highlighted all your processes that make up your value chain, you start to look at them one after the other. Which of these processes does not directly add value to what we're trying to achieve here? So you look at everything you're offering, every activity involved in producing that product or in producing that service. Which of the activities here do not add value or can be optimized to cut down costs? Then when you identify those activities, you either eliminate them or you optimize them to cut down your costs. Something else you can do is actually also look at your competitors. A lot of businesses in Nigeria do not look out for competitors. We do not benchmark against our industry. Neither do we benchmark against our competitors to see where we fall. You have to look at what are your industry averages. How much do people in your industry spend on certain things? When you put your own cost against their costs, is it higher, is it lower? So you can also use that to checkmate yourself and see if you're spending more or if you're spending less on certain costs. You can also use that to see if they have the same value chain as yours All these things can easily be Googled, or you can get a consultant to do that for you.
Let's get into the final strategy that could make all the difference for small and medium-sized enterprises trying to stay afloat or even grow in this kind of economic terrain. It's all about strategic partnerships, but not just partnerships for the sake of it. We're talking about smart collaborations that reduce your operational costs and give you access to capabilities you wouldn't have on your own. Think of it this way. In a tough economy, no small and medium-sized enterprise has the luxury to do it alone. You might not have the budget for certain technologies or the in-house expertise to streamline operations, but you don't necessarily need to. When you partner, whether it's with a supplier, another small and medium-sized enterprise, a consultant, or even a larger firm, you gain access to shared knowledge, bulk purchasing opportunities, better distribution channels, or improved service delivery, all of which can significantly reduce your overheads and operational stress. Let's walk through the strategic partnerships framework together, because this is how strategic partnerships go from being a good idea to an actual cost-saving tool in your business. We start with the yellow section, define desired outcomes. This is where you get honest with yourself. What do you actually need? Is it better distribution, shared technology, reduce logistics cost? You must be clear, because your goals will shape the partnership. Next is the orange section. Identify the type of partnership for outcomes. Not every partnership is the same. Some are for access to tools, others for skills or market expansion. For example, a bakery might partner with a logistics startup just to cut delivery costs. That's a type of partnership. Then we go to the teal section. Identify potential partners. Look within your ecosystem, suppliers, consultants, even competitors with complementary services. One of our clients who partnered with a struggling competitor to co-source raw materials cut their procurement cost by 40%. Then, the green section. Define roles and responsibilities. This part keeps things smooth. Everyone knows who's doing what, so there's no duplication of effort, which in itself cuts operational waste. Operational waste has a cost attached to it. The blue section. Establish and manage partnerships. This is where the paperwork comes in. You're formalizing the partnership, setting expectations, timelines, and points of contact. This ensures clarity of purpose and professionalism in your partnership. And finally, the red section. Assess effectiveness of partnership. Are you hitting those cost and efficiency goals? If not, tweak it. If yes, scale it. Continuous evaluation makes the partnership a long-term advantage, not just a one-off deal. So when you follow the cycle, partnerships become intentional and impactful, not just handshake deals. And for small and medium-sized enterprises, that's how you stretch lean budgets and still grow your businesses. Someone may ask, what are the risks associated with having strategic partnerships?
As having partnership of any kind has a lot of benefits, but it doesn't come without its own risk, like risk of maybe losing control over certain aspects of your company. You might have an over-dependency on a particular partner. You might have possible conflicts of objectives between partners, but this is why you should use a framework like the one I showed, because that's what works. In that framework, everyone's responsibility and role is defined. Make sure everybody understands what role they play. Make sure everybody understands what you aim to get. Make sure your objectives are same. Make sure you're chasing same goals. It's important that everyone is on the same page when you're getting into strategic partnerships to grow your business. And make sure you also have an exit strategy. We've talked about diversifying vendor base, so even when you're getting into this partnership, you might want to get into a partnership with more than one person. But also remember that I said you yourself have to show that you are trustworthy, you are dependable, because everyone is looking for consistency in their business. So, yes, use the framework, spell out roles and responsibilities, spell out risk allocations, make sure people sign on dotted lines, and have an exit strategy. Yeah, have an exit strategy.
Think of this to companies selling the same thing. One is always struggling with cash flow, behind on payments, and always trying to get more time with suppliers. The other, they work so smoothly, always have enough stock, always deliver on time, and most importantly, make money. What's the difference? It isn't just fate, it's got to do with strategy. The first business operates in survival mode, reacting to price fluctuations, supply shortages, and unexpected costs as they come. The second business, they've structured their costs with precision, optimized their inventory management, and built strategic partnerships that give them a competitive edge. They don't just buy from vendors, they collaborate with partners who enhance their value chain. They don't just track expenses, they position themselves for sustainable growth. And that's what today's session has been about, taking control. Your cost structure isn't just a budgeting exercise, it's a game plan for profitability. Your partnerships aren't just transactions, they are the backbone of your competitive advantage. When you manage your costs efficiently and align with the right strategic partners, you're not just surviving, you're scaling. Now ask yourself, where do I want my business to be? Do I want business A, constantly battling rising costs and uncertainty, or do I want business B, building a business that thrives, leveraging cost efficiency and strategic partnerships to secure long-term success? The power is in your hands. At Pearl Anchor Services, we help businesses like yours structure costs effectively, build strategic alliances, and create sustainable business models. If you're ready to shift from reactive to proactive, let's talk. Visit our website, follow us on social media, and let's build a stronger business together. Remember, growth isn't accidental, it's intentional, and it starts with the decisions you make today. Let's make them count.